Okay, so this is session number 2 in my Hot Girls website series, where Hot Girls websites that actually make money. This one is all about the 5-second test, and I'm going to get more into that in a little bit of why that's really important. But the key is, can a stranger understand your website instantly? Okay, so what we're going to cover today. So we're going to cover what the 5-second reality really is and why it's a lot shorter than you think. The 3 questions every visitor asks, and if your website actually is answering them, and how to run your own 5-second test, and how to create a really simple action plan after this call to incorporate some of the stuff we're going to talk about. Okay, so let's start with who am I? My name is Izzy. I own Izzy Weight Design. I've been doing branding and website design for 5 years now, and I really work with passionate entrepreneurs. And I always say, like, when passionate entrepreneurs talk to me, I feel like you have this sparkle in your eye because you're just so excited about what you're doing and you know people need it and it's really important to you. I take that sparkle and I turn it into a beaming light so everyone can see your magic and what you have going on and really just help you attract the right clients. So what's a designer without some credible proof? I like to just share some quick pictures of my work so you can see that I actually design. I'm not just an AI bot. That's going around a lot these days on Instagram. Okay, so I keep saying this thing 5 seconds. You have 5 seconds, and that's it for someone to land on your website. And actually, it's a little bit shorter than 5 seconds. So what research is actually saying nowadays is that you have someone who lands on your website makes an impression of you and your brand in 0.05 seconds. And that's the first impression. That's like 50 milliseconds. They're not even reading a single word. They're landing on your website, they're not scrolling, and they're judging you. 94% of people, their first impression is design related. Like I said, they're not even taking that first second to read. They're really just looking at the overall design, photos, what you have going on in that first part of your website. And 88% of people won't return after a bad website experience. So you don't get a second chance with 88% of people. So having a really strong first impression on your website is so important. Okay, so in those first 5 seconds, every visitor is asking 3 unconscious questions. They maybe not be like putting it out loud in their brain, but this is what's running through their mind. What do you do? This is the clarity piece. Is this for me? This is the relevance piece. And do I trust this person? Is what I'm seeing look credible? If they can't answer those 3 questions, they're gone. And this is where that really like subconscious judging comes into effect of like, are they actually, does this website going to do what I need it to do? Is this person going to be able to help me? So 55% of visitors spend less than 15 seconds on a website. So it's so important nowadays to make sure that your design and the way your website flows is really, really strong. Okay, so question number 1 that people subconsciously think about on the website is, what do you do? This is a clarity problem. We're going to talk about how to make sure that your website is really clear to tell people exactly what you do, even if it's just like in 0.05 seconds. Okay, this is a huge website mistake I see, and it happens a lot nowadays, especially with the ChatGPT copywriting that people are using. It's being clever instead of clear. Now, I get it. I really like having like cutesy welcome statements or things like that, but visitors aren't going to read your entire website. They're going to scan it. So your headline, especially that first one, so when I say above the fold, I just want to let you guys know what that means quick. Above the fold is when someone lands on your website, anything that they see before they scroll is called above the fold. So that first statement, if it's more clever than it is clear, you're not really communicating strongly. So an example is empowering visionaries to unlock their potential. If I read that, I would go, I kind of get it, but I don't really know if that's for me. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. One I saw literally yesterday, it's a company in town here. Their business is Common Grounds, and their tagline was meeting you where you're at. And I literally had to like look up further on their website because I was like, okay, Common Ground sounds like a coffee shop, but meeting you where you're at doesn't really make sense. And so it's just that first statement needs to be so clear. So instead, what people could say is, I help female coaches fill their programs with dream clients. Like that is clear, to the point. I know exactly who it's for. So let's go through a few more of these. Vague headline Hall of Shames. You've maybe seen them, you've maybe written them. We're not going to judge you. This is all about learning. So here's another example. Transforming businesses through innovation. What's the business? What kind of transformation? And where's this innovation like land in? Where passion meets purpose. Okay, I love that you're passionate, but what are you selling? Is this for me? Helping you live your best life. We all love those statements, but like, is this a coach? Is it a vitamin brand? A mattress company? Like, we don't know unless you're really giving us that information right away on your website. So this is a clarity formula, and you can go ahead and write this down because this is what I want your first hero statement on your website to answer. What do you do? Use real verbs. I design, I coach, I write, I build. Those things are really important for that first statement. Who you help. Be specific. There's a thing that people say, it's like when you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. And that is so true. So when that first statement, when people read it, you want to be specific of who you're talking to. Do you coach female entrepreneurs? Is this for families? Things like that. Results they get. That first part of the website, really think about the transformation or outcome or feeling these people are going to have. What do you really do for them? Okay. So I have a few examples. First one, empowering visionaries to unlock their potential. Now, if we apply to the formula to that and start to answer those 3 questions, maybe it says more, I help ambitious coaches build wildly profitable businesses through strategic brand design. So their online presence finally matches the level they're playing at. That totally answers those 3 questions. I know who it's for. I know what they do. I know the transformation I'm going to get. Okay, helping you live your best life. I design high converting websites for wellness coaches ready to grow beyond referrals. That sounds like my best life, but it's more strategic in a way that's going to subconsciously answer some of these questions for me. So I know right away that it's for me. Okay, so I'm going to pause right here and we're going to talk about that question again. I'm going to pull it one more time. Okay, what do you do? The clarity problem. So I'm going to open your guys' websites and we're just going to see if you guys can see that clarity right away in your websites. Okay, so let your senses guide you back to what matters. Sound bath, breathwork, coaching, workshops, retreats, and gatherings for people seeking more presence, connection, beauty, and belonging in a distracted world. Okay, what do you guys think? Do you feel like that provides clarity? Do you think if you landed on here, you would understand right away if it's for you? You can give me a thumbs up. You can drop it in the chat. You can unmute yourself, whatever. Thumbs up. And if I put you guys on my other screen over here. So if I'm looking this way, I'm actually looking at you guys. Okay, so I would say it does. If anything, though, if I were going to redo this statement, I would combine these 2 pieces somehow, make one really strong sentence that's a little bit more built out and bigger instead of like breaking it up like that. Because I think if you land and you just read this, it would still feel a little big, but this really adds to it. So I would maybe combine them. Okay. Okay, we make inspiring video content to help brands communicate their why. I think that's great. I think that does exactly the 3 things. Clarity is there. I understand that it's for brands. I think that's great. Okay, nature's calling. I like it, but I wouldn't immediately know that it's for travel. I think I would be curious, but I wouldn't immediately be like, oh, this is for travel. This is for people like me who want to book trips or things like that. So I think that you could add just a little bit more to make that even more clear. Okay. Welcome to the herd. Welcome to the matriarch circle. Discover supportive space built for women craving connection, structure, and lasting change. Okay. Okay, let's see. Thumbs up if you feel like it's clear. Middle if you think it could be a little bit improved. A little improved. I agree. I think that one thing that people do a lot, and I guess this is kind of a group, so maybe the welcome makes sense, but when people say welcome, normally that's just kind of not necessary verbiage because we're already on the site and we know that we're welcomed on the site if we're on it. So I feel like sometimes the word welcome can just be redundant. Whereas this statement down here, I feel like is actually more powerful. So I would maybe reword this just a little bit to make this the main point, and then under it, maybe say, you're in the right spot. The matrix circles for you, or something like that. So that's probably how I would adjust that to be a little bit more clear. But otherwise, I think this statement answers those main things. So, okay. Any questions on those pieces before we move on? Okay. Okay, let's go back to here, and we are in question 2. That's question 1. Okay, next, is this for me? The specificity secret, why niching down actually makes you more magnetic. A lot of people are resistant to speak directly to a certain person because they're worried about like excluding all these people from their group or from wanting to book with them, that kind of stuff. But actually, it does make such a big difference when you're thinking about marketing and how you can get your business to subconsciously be like a magnet for those people that are landing on your website. And so one thing we say a lot is when you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one. I know that this phrase is overused, but it's so true. When visitors land on your website, their subconsciousness is immediately asking, do I see myself here? Do these testimonials look like people like me? Do they feel relevant to me? Does the language sound like my words? Does this person get what I'm actually dealing with? I heard something recently about pain points, and some people are really afraid to use pain points in their marketing. But if you think of pain as a validation, and instead of being like, oh, this thing is so bad, you want to avoid it, like that can be like scare tactic marketing, and we don't want to do that. But if we know a specific pain point about our audience and we rephrase it as, I see the pain that you're in, and it's not physical pain, but like I see what you're struggling with. I've been there. It's more validating to them. And so that can also help you be more specific, because the more specific you are, the more your ideal client will feel like you're speaking directly to them. And that's key. Okay, so there's a few signals that I like to say that help people understand this is for you. There's the visuals, the language, testimonials, and how specific you can be. So visuals, photos and imagery of people who look like your ideal client. Now, this is really important because subconsciously people will look at a website and be like, oh, I see myself on here. And so especially like race or age or gender, those things can be really important because you want to make sure that your ideal client can see themselves. A really great way to do this is if maybe you don't necessarily look like everyone in your ideal audience. When you add testimonials to your website, ask your past clients if you can use photos of them, because that can help people really see themselves in your work or in your group or whatever it is. Language. So you want to make sure you're using your ideal client's words and not yours. Even if it's something that if you're a coach and you're later going to teach them what some of these things mean, if it's not already in their vocabulary, it's not going to make sense to them. So saying like burnt out instead of experiencing professional exhaustion, or just really think about the way that your clients talk about their problems before they work with you, and try and use that language. Testimonials, I can't say enough about testimonials. Put them everywhere. Even screenshots of text messages or DMs you get can be really helpful, because then people know like, oh, this isn't fake. Like this is just a screenshot of a text that this person got. It's just social proof to really help people understand, wow, this is for me. This past person said this. I can see myself in those scenarios. Okay, and then name the exact person. For service-based entrepreneurs or for moms going back to work, don't be afraid to actually use some of those keywords so that when people land on your website, they're like, oh my gosh, this person is talking exactly to me. It really helps the subconscious make a decision faster about working with you because they can already see and hear and feel themselves in your group or booking projects with you or doing sound bath with you. Like they can already see themselves in those scenarios. Okay, so there's a little test for this. It's the 4 Who test. Pull up your website homepage right now. So I want all of you guys, you can do another tab, pull up your website and read your headline out loud. You can keep yourself muted, you can read in your head, whatever you want to do. And ask yourself, could a stranger tell me who you work for in 1 sentence? Okay, so I'm going to have you each unmute in 1 second. And one by one, I want you to tell me if a stranger could really tell you exactly who you work with based on the above the fold of your website. Okay, Lisa, you're first on my view. So do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself?
Yes, women, but I hear you with being a little bit more specific and niching down.
Okay. And what do you think that specific piece or keyword could be? Do you know?
Well, I go back and forth because I used to say working moms with burnout, but I wasn't getting a lot of, I did that for like a whole year and wasn't getting a ton of traction. So I don't know.
Maybe
the data's telling me that's not the way to go, but I don't know what is.
maybe instead of that, you could think about the transformation these women want. So like for moms who want blank, you know, they might be in that burnout phase, but really what they're thinking about and why they're coming to groups is because they want that other side. So you could think about that way of niching down instead.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Melissa, you want to go?
Sure. Yeah, so on my video production website, I do say brands, but there's a lot of brands out there. So I feel like being a lot more specific about the type of brands, and I like your idea around pain points. I work a lot with mission-driven brands. I think the pain point is struggling to tell their story in an engaging way, or I need to work on the language, but I do really think that could make it way more clear for someone that they're in the right place. For the long haul films one. And then for the Arrivo Collective one, I also think that that's a little bit vague. And, I just relaunched that business, so I'm somewhat feeling into exactly my niche, but I feel like it is probably a lot more female focused than male focused.
Okay.
So me thinking a little bit more about how I might address that early on and whether that makes sense for me, or if it's just maybe a bit more around mindset, or in some ways I'm looking for a type of person who is looking for an alternative to a wellness experience. Like they don't want to go and sit in all white and do a yoga class and transcend. Like I'm kind of trying to figure out like how I define that. It's like someone who wants to go to a sun bath and then maybe get a glass of wine after and like plan their vacation they're going to take with Blue-footed Travel, or
Yeah, I love it. Like almost like a messy, like not messy, but like embracing more of life than just like staying that clear cut spirituality path. I see what
I'm really trying to define it as like non-spiritual, because I think there's so much oversaturation and just like exhaustion and ick there. So and this really hit it for me. I'm like, okay, how do I actually define that? Like not define it as a not spiritual, but like how do I define that in a more positive way? So open to suggestions from all. And I think I have to really think on that, because I want people to know that like this is for you if you haven't felt comfortable in spiritual wellness spaces.
Yeah, something that came to mind, and like take this however you want, but like for women who are ready to come back to their body in whatever way feels right. Because I feel like sometimes like spiritual can be very woo, where like we don't know what that means, but like coming into your own body and like feeling that can sometimes come across better.
Or maybe something I always go to like, it's too woo-woo. So maybe something like for more of a real experience versus the or maybe you take the woo-woo out of it. I don't
Mhm.
know, maybe something like that.
Yeah, I feel like words like down to earth, coming back to your body, grounded. I feel like those things are very like rooted, where sometimes those like woo-woo spiritual words can be kind of like lofty. So I like the direction you're going. I think you can workshop it a little bit more and have something really good.
Amazing. I've already learned so much in like less than half an hour. This is awesome.
Good. Okay, Maria, you want to go?
Yes, well, I really want to connect people with nature and with yourself. They consider to travel to Ecuador in a different way. And also that we really want to personalize the service.
Mm-hmm.
We always take care of the client. We customize the retreat. So we are quite different to the big companies. So that they don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
We are worried about the client. So they feel that they are traveling in a different way. We customize the retreat and we are always taking care of them.
Yeah.
So that is something that I want to show to my clients, and especially to have the contact with nature and with themselves.
Yeah.
So we really want to travel in a different way.
I feel like something that came out for me was maybe like for the people who don't want the cookie cutter trip, or for the people who want to experience more on their travel, or something that kind of like helps people understand that they're not just going to book this package and you're going to send them an itinerary that's like you do 1, 2, 3. It's like for people who are like ready to experience Ecuador in their own way. So it's like, kind of like I don't know, something like that. I feel like could be really strong for that first statement too.
Okay, just to change, because I have here, they said, come to Ecuador and be in contact with nature. But sometimes, it's like we customize your trip in the way that you want to travel,
Yeah.
just to be in contact with nature, with the culture, with the country,
Yeah.
That's quite different just to travel in another place,
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that there's more you could add there than just nature. Like nature is a great part of it, but there's a little bit more that I think some of these people are probably searching for when they first land on your website. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Let's go on. Okay. Question 3. Do I trust this person? Do trust signals make visitors feel safe enough to actually act and purchase from you? What builds trust instantly? Your real face. No more stock photos. No more stock photos. If especially like so, Maria, you have kind of a different situation because you want to show Ecuador. But I feel like on like your teams page or about page, or even like a small section on your homepage, it can be really helpful to have like a real face so people know they're not just booking with an AI bot that's just going to plan a random trip for them. People really like to see your face. Social proof, again, I already talked about testimonials, but I'll say it again. It really, really helps. Proof of work. I think nowadays people are really looking for proof of work of portfolio, case studies, press, client logos, like ways that you have actually worked with people in your community. And it doesn't have to be just these things, but it could also be like maybe you have a video of a past group you worked with, or you have a video of someone talking about working with you or going to a sound bath. Like there can be a lot of different ways to show proof of work, but I think it's really important to show that you're actually working on your website. Clear contact info, an easy way to get in touch. It's a real red flag if you cannot find a single email address on a website. You don't always have to have your phone number, but like a contact form, some way where they can, let's say, yes, you should have like a book now button that takes people to maybe your CRM or whatever that is. But I think it's really important to also have just like a simple contact form on your website so that if people aren't sure what they should be doing next, that's an easy option for them. Okay, I know I talked about testimonials a lot, but testimonials can increase conversion by 270%. But if only they're specific, credible, and show real results. Something that I like to tell my clients to do is get photos. I already talked about that, but photos of your past clients, great way to do it. Screenshots, screenshots of Google reviews, just throw up on your website people talking about working with you. It makes such a difference. Okay, let's talk about what destroys trust instantly. Visitors notice these red flags, and some of them you might not even really know, but no real photos of you. I talked about that. It's really hard nowadays with AI and robots and all this stuff popping up. People want to know that they're actually working with humans. Outdated design. If your website looks like it was built a long time ago, none of yours do, so I'm not as worried about that one. Okay, one that gets people a lot is on the very, very, very bottom of your homepage. There should be a little statement with a copyright symbol like that that says copyrighted in blah, 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 and then your business name. And it should have 2026 this year. So if it doesn't, okay, I see some celebrating. People forget about this. Make sure you change it every year so it says 2026 and then, next year. Really vague testimonials, no name, no photos, nothing specific about them. Did you make this up? Hard to tell nowadays. Spelling errors or broken links. Actually, a funny thing about the spelling errors is I'm kind of debating removing that one because I think sometimes people like to see spelling errors now because it lets them know that AI didn't just write this whole website. So I'm on the fence. Maybe throw in a little fake spelling error just to see it. But I think that can kind of help it. But broken links. If you have like a social media link on your footer or somewhere and someone clicks it and it just goes to like nowhere, it is like a clear sign that your website isn't up to date. So make sure you go through your links and make sure that they're working constantly. No information about pricing or process. If you don't want to have your exact price on your website, I think that's okay, but you should still talk about, we'll make a custom quote. It can be in these ranges, or here's the process to getting a custom quote. Like, I think nowadays people are going to websites to get information, and when there's not information that's helpful, they just go away. Like if I'm planning a birthday party and I want a cake, I'm going to pull up 3 different bakers in town. And if I can't even at least get a range or a way to get a price, I'm not going to count them. I'm going to go towards the one who's like, your cake is going to be in this price, because then I can like start to really think about what that process will be like for me. So think about that a little bit. Okay. How to run your 5-second test. So this is a 5-second test that, you can write down these tips. We can try doing it with each other, but we've already all looked at each other's websites. So I would actually just do it with someone else and see if you have a friend, or if you're going to a networking event and you can find someone in your ideal market, that's really helpful. So find someone who's never seen your website, not your best friend, not your partner. They've never seen your website. Give them 5 seconds. Like seriously, pull up a timer and pull up your website and let them look at it for 5 seconds. Take your website away and then ask these 3 questions. What do you think this business does? Who is it for? And would you trust this person? Don't explain, don't defend, don't get angry if you're not getting an answer you want, because this is really just to help you make your website better. So whatever they say, that's your website's first impression. Take notes and then figure out what the next step is. There are some free tools that you can do if you don't want to do this with strangers. Usability Hub, called Maze Now, or Lisna. I don't know how to say that one, but anyway, you can use those too. But I think that this test is really important, because when someone finds you on Instagram, or you're tagged over here, or like your blog pulls up and they go to your homepage, this is what they're going to be doing. So if you haven't written these down, or you can screenshot this screen really quickly if you guys want to too, but this is a really great way to just make sure your website is doing its job. Okay, what has to live above the fold? So again, above the fold is everything on your website before you start scrolling. 1, headline. This is what we talked about a little bit ago. It's that clear statement that talks about what you do, who you help, and what they get. That should be easy to read above the fold. Subheadline. This can be if you think you need more details. You don't always need this. Like, I think I actually do have one, but I don't always do this. If my headline is really, really strong, I'll just leave it at that. But if you feel like you need to add some process or your promise or just a little bit more about your niche, you can do that in the subheadline. And then 1 clear call to action. Don't have multiple buttons. Some people do. I really think the best thing you can do is have 1 clear call to action. And then trust signals. So this, it's not quite bolded on there, the number 5 there, because I should have done number 4, but we'll get over to number 4. Number 5 isn't really bolded because that can be a little below the fold. These are your testimonials, press, client, things like that, they can be a little bit down, but you should be able to see them real quick. And then a photo. Bonus points if you do a photo of you. Now, if your business isn't necessarily you or your face, like if you're not a huge part of it, it can be a photo of like Ecuador, like a photo of your place, or I like the video one too, because that also shows like your work, but make sure you actually have some type of a photo that shows your work, shows what you do, and it's actually your photo. It's not a stock photo, because people can tell. Okay, so here's a little checklist. If you guys want to screenshot this, go ahead. This is your above the fold checklist. So your homework is to take this, look at your website, and make sure you have all of these things. Again, if your brand isn't like your face, you should have a real photo of you later on your homepage or somewhere else on your website, but make sure it's there. But these are the main things that you want to make sure you have. So we talked about most of them. No clutter. That's a really big thing. Is like some people just try and throw so much stuff, but actually they have done some research that people make a decision faster if there's like clear space, because it allows their brain and their eyes to not like get overwhelmed. And so that can be really helpful if you just have kind of a more clear above the fold. And then make sure it's mobile friendly. I think it's like 67 or 77% of people are actually just going on websites on their phones nowadays. So make sure your website also looks as well on mobile. Okay. You can't unsee this now. Now, every time you go to a website, and I hope you do this, every time you go to a website, I want you to start thinking, what do they do? Is this for me? Do I trust them? Because that's what your brain's already doing. But I think the more conscious you are about other websites you go to, the more it helps you really actually make yours stronger. Okay, here is your action steps for the week. Oh, well, I guess it's Friday, so this can be for next week. But write these things down, and you're going to do them. And this is just going to be your quick little thing you can actually take from this talk to make your website better. Okay, run the 5-second test on your website. Find a friend, a stranger, someone who hasn't seen your website in a long time, and give them 5 seconds and ask those 3 questions. This one doesn't take very long, but it gives you a lot of data to really think about how you can improve your website. Okay, after you do that, you're going to rewrite your headline. So you're going to use that formula we talked about of what you do, who you help, and what are the results they actually get. Bonus points if you can keep it under 12 words, because again, we don't want to clutter that part of the website. We want it to be really, really clear. Okay, add one trust signal to the above the fold of your website, or again, like right below the above the fold, so it's the first thing they see. Testimonial, past client logos, some type of a stat, something that really validates the work you do before they have to keep scrolling any further. Okay, here's the Hot Girl Website Quick Wins list. Okay, so if you can do these things this year, this month, this is really going to make your website actually start to help you bring in money and gain that clarity, help attract your right clients. So update your copyright year on the bottom of your website to 2026, if you have it. Add a real headshot above the fold or somewhere people can easily find on your website. And your photo should really be from at least the last 3 years. If it's outdated, go get another photo. It's time for a photo shoot. Rewrite your hero headline with that formula we just talked about. Add your ideal client's specific title or industry. So again, really kind of help yourself define like what type of mom it is or what type of traveler it is, and start to think about those specific people that are going to want your services. Because I also think sometimes even when you're really specific, you're not completely shutting everyone else out. If someone really wants to work with you, they're still going to, even if like maybe they land on your website and they're like, I know it says this, but I really like everything else. I'm just going to send an inquiry anyway. Those people will still come through, but it just helps you attract the actual ideal client you want even more if you're really specific. Okay, put a testimonial on your homepage. That's a good one. Okay, then we're going to talk about polish and relevance. Delete any broken links. This should be something you do once a quarter. Just go through your website and make sure everything's working. You'd be so surprised how many times I go to a website and like I click Instagram and it doesn't actually bring me to their Instagram, or I click contact and it doesn't go to the right spot. So just make sure your links are working. Remove any stock photos. Nowadays with our iPhones, honestly, we can get just as good photos with our phones than we used to be able to. So if you have some stock photos that are kind of cringy, go get a real photo on your phone and then just swap them out. Add a clear call to action button on your website, and not to 3 different places. Like it shouldn't be like, oh, go here for this, go here for this, go here for this. Make it really clear of what the goal of your website is. Like what, if you had 10 people do this thing next month, you would be so jazzed. Is it book a call, buy tickets to an event? What is that one thing? And have that call to action on your website multiple times so it's really clear what that next step is. Check your mobile. Actually go to your website on your phone. Just go through it, make sure everything's working, because a lot of times with these website platforms, it can look really great on a desktop, but there's something that's just not right on mobile. And it's always important to just double check that things are working on mobile. Okay, and again, run a 5-second test. So here's your checklist. If you do all this by the end of summer, you will have a hot girl website. Okay, what's next? Again, here are your things. Run that 5-second test. Do a copy clarity check. Make sure that from today's session that your copy is correct. Get a new headshot, whether it's with a phone, professional photographer. Make sure you have a real photo. Then if you have any questions, you can reach out to me at izzyweight.com or at izzyweight design.